What a bloody gentleman.
I know. You need to get him some like Jaffa cakes and some curly whirlies and tea and a biscuit. You know, he's such a good
Hey
one.
guys, welcome to the Knights of the Braille podcast, where there's going to be some strong language and some adult content and two lovely chaps, one by the name of Jim, who is talking right now, and with me is the wonderful, wonderful Richard.
Howdy, howdy. You know, kind of concerns me when you start talking about yourself in the third person. I feel that I kind of rubbing off on you a little bit there.
Jim does that all the time. He
Yeah,
talks about himself in the third person. He
so does
can't help it.
Richard. So does Richard. If you smell, oh, I'm sorry, different guy.
So, Richard, I know that we haven't had a full podcast of just ourselves in quite a while where we've caught up and stuff. And so I haven't heard about the Rhymers, about your Star Wars, Knights in Space. How are your weekly campaigns going?
Well, right now we've taken time off with the Rhymers. Should be starting back here in probably the next week or two. Because of Adrian's wife, having a baby. Sorry to say Adrian having a baby, but if that's gonna happen, then I want royalty fees.
Front
Um,
row seats.
exactly. um, but the Star Wars campaign, either Nights in Space, I like that one, or what was the other one? Night Stars or something. I can't remember. But it's going really good. It's kind of a slow crawl, I guess, because they enjoy doing a lot of role playing, and and I love that aspect of it. And they just got through basically with their first real dungeon. So of course that's going to take a little bit, more time. Because the sessions are usually only a couple of hours long, because that's about the length of time that I have to do that. In the morning times.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be a slower go there. But they are a really good group. Get along really good, and I don't know if you like it or not, but I enjoy a little bit of character tension in the
Yeah, for
group.
sure.
It makes for some really good role playing aspects. And
Actually,
go
Ken, who
ahead.
you have in your Star Wars group, he's really good at doing character tension without being a dick. Like
Yes,
he's very good at it.
yes. In fact, him and Lobo, the two Jedi are the ones with the character tension. Because one of them, Ken, is like a true balanced Jedi. Trying to, or as some people in the community refer to it as like a gray Jedi.
Yeah,
While Lobo is playing off of the strictly like Luke Skywalker esque, type of Jedi where it's only the light. Do not use the darkness at all. Um, I like both concepts. So I mean it works for me, and there's a slight bit of tension there. And I think that's good. It helps the party realize, certain aspects of the game. You have one that will do things that need to be done, and one that, in my opinion, and not making fun of either one of them, in my opinion, it's like, I'll do what has to get done, as opposed to, oh, I'm handicapped because I only use the light side, you know. But I
I
mean, that's
really
how.
enjoy the idea of Luke Skywalker's Jedi sensibility.
Hmm.
It's not cheesy. He is a good person, quote unquote, in the eyes of the Jedi or the rebels, and he won't use the dark side, but he'll do what needs to be done to get
Right.
stuff done. So he's not really a good person when you look at it objectively, but he has a moral guide, and I get what you're saying. He's got stuff he will do and he won't do, and the grey zone area guy is like, I'm just going to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. And I could, if I was playing one, I could go either way there. Um, I think I would probably tend to play more along the lines of a true balance or gray Jedi, And I know you're probably over there thinking, bull crap, you'd probably be the evil Darth Sith, whatever, but
No. I think when we played before, you were definitely like your character Phoenix was certainly like a grey area.
right. And I mean, granted, you have to list them as evil, because of certain things that they do, and the fact that he will torture the crap out of somebody to get the information, and to me, that does make them evil,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also gray, because they also do good things like heal a party member.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of him like I always think of Jedi like samurai, and
Yeah,
Luke Skywalker is like the good guy that he'll help people, he'll go out of his way, but he won't take crap. There's the evil ones who are these bad samurai bandits that go around killing, causing trouble, and then the grey area ones. I think of them like the Ronin, where they're these traveling samurai that have no master, and they're well read, and they do care about people, but they'll do what needs to be done for their own ends.
right. And I always think about I don't know if you remember the old show Kung Fu with the voice overlays like, yes, he jumps in and he uses his sword to cut the head off of his opponent. You know, but I mean it's a really, like I said, really good group. I really enjoy, running it for them. And it is the Lost Mine of Kessel, which is a Star Wars version of the Lost Mine of Fendivar, which, Jesse, of course, is running on Wednesdays right now until the Rhymers start back.
And how
So,
are you running a dungeon crawl without a map? Are you just having each area they move into, you describe it, and that's how it goes?
what I do is I will read over the descriptions a little bit and try to somewhat um type down the entire description. More or less, basic outlines like level 1 is cargo bay, bathrooms, yada yada yada. Level 2 maybe barracks, level 3 maybe like a cafeteria, you know, command center. Um and then like level 5 I think was the penthouse. So I try to keep up, like make it up in my mind, because there's no way I could see the map. And I could
Yeah.
be spot on. I could be like in New York City whenever I'm trying to be in Georgia. I mean, I could be way off. Um, but unbeknownst to me until this past session, Ken was keeping track of the description of the space station. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
ooh, oh,
A DM's worst nightmare, someone holding you accountable.
I know. But I don't think I was off a whole lot. Because I had typed down like the basic description of it. But that's how I go about it. And each level, it's like, say there's 4 rooms, you come to one room at a time.
Yeah, and
If that
players will
makes
help
sense.
you fill in those blanks. Like if you give them a general structure, like this is a cargo bay, then they'll come along and be like, I want to go to the cargo bay office. Is there a cargo bay office? Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Right.
Let's figure that out, you know?
Um, and you've ran a lot more games than I have. But if you keep it basic, like you said, they'll help you fill it in. You don't need to
Yeah.
be full on detailed, like, oh, this cargo bay has a cargo office which has a 10-inch telephone or hollow screen on it with a desk.
I bet you do have notes like that though.
I do to an extent.
The stuff that you need to touch on.
Yeah. If I need to touch on it, I have somewhat descriptions of it in there. you know, um, like I may put in there a desk that has 4 drawers, you know, something like that. I don't have what's in each drawer. Um, and also in that, say, section of notes, I will put like treasure, what they could find if they decide to search.
Yeah, because you're
You
always
know,
gonna not think of stuff or forget stuff when you're like, "Is there a desk in there?" Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll check the drawers. Oh shit, what's in the drawers?
yeah. That's when you make up stuff on the fly. Like, oh yeah, you find 200 credits. A water chewed gum. A
Yeah.
magazine. Things like that. But yeah, I usually keep
Actually,
like
a
a little
piece
list
of
of the
advice
treasure.
I give there from experience: never, ever, ever give them weapons or armor on the fly. If you're not sure what's there, do not give them anything they can kill with or protect themselves with, because you may regret it. You need to think and balance that stuff. Whereas other little items, like a healing potion or some coins, or that's neither here nor there. But yeah, just from
Right.
my experience, I'm going to tell you right there: don't make that shit up.
I found that out not too long ago. But,
Here's some super duper supernova grenades, guys. Oh shit, what have I done?
um, yeah, I want to think I put a blaster pistol in there. And I'm going a lot by like the actual pre-written campaign, and throwing quite a bit of homebrew in there as well, to spice it up a little bit, take some stuff
Yeah.
away here and there. Um, Using their guideline, but basically making it my own. Uh, which is why when Ken said, "Oh yeah, I may or may not have a document called Space Station." Ooh, okay. That's awesome. And I love the fact that he's taking notes. Means a lot to me as a DM. Because I know whenever I'm actually a player, I take notes out the yin yang.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than I usually do whenever I'm a DM. Because I like to look back on it, see, oh, I should have done this, or oh, I can do this now that I have found this in the section. That's just me though. I take an abundant amount of notes, way more
Well, I
than I
mean,
should.
and you should always ask your players for input on that stuff. Like, for example, you saying about the framework for the areas you go into. That's for the adventure as well. The arc of the adventure is a framework, and then the stuff you put in between is generated by the player's actions. And as you say, the homebrew aspect of it is that creating stuff relevant to them. People say about railroading, like, oh, I wouldn't play Lost Mines of Fandelver because I like to make everything up on the fly, and that's how I run it. I don't railroad. And it's like Lost Mines isn't railroading. Any adventure like that is, hey guys, here's a really bad dude, and this is where you're going to have to go to kill that bad dude. And everything you do in between here and there, totally up to you. That is not railroading in any way,
Right.
and you still make a lot of shit up on the way, and it's drastically different. Two people run Mines of Fandelver, and it's different. Like, you're playing in that adventure for the second time, and I bet it's
Yeah.
completely different.
It is. And me and Jesse have talked about this as well as me and CJ, my local DM. CJ is very experienced with, I know 3.5. I want to think 3 as well. So he added a lot of stuff in there and took a lot of stuff out. Whereas Jesse, and not making fun of him, because I mean I will make fun of him, um, is going by the campaign book because it's the first campaign that he has run, and I've noticed that there's a lot of difference. CJ's using his experience as a DM with other additions to throw other stuff in there and take some of the stuff back, or take it out. So it is quite a bit different.
Yeah, like the big plot points are there, but everything in between, people solve stuff differently too. You could present a situation to 10 groups and get 10 or 12 different solutions. Pretty
Exactly.
crazy. Like, I was talking earlier before we started about, I'm running a murder mystery at the moment, which I'm continuing next Sunday. And in that murder mystery, I have events set out. So at 9 p.m., this character arrives at the tavern. At 9:30, they discover a body here and someone tells them. But in between those plot points, the players are doing what they want, and the world around them will continue to run whether they make this decision or that decision. So it's good to have those notes and those plot points to have something to fall back on. I mean, you were talking at the beginning there about how your players like to role play. I fucking
Right.
love that because it gives me time to sit back and breathe as a
Mhm.
DM, and I can think about stuff while they're role playing.
get you a sip of water or whatever you're
Yeah.
drinking, and while they're doing that, unless they are like interacting with an NPC that, I have to run, I'm sitting there reading notes ahead, like, okay, they're more than likely going to do this, so I'm preparing for what they are likely going to do. And I haven't been wrong many times. I try to read my group. CJ, he'll read people's faces, to see if they're entertained and what they're maybe thinking about. I listen to their role playing aspect and begin to judge, like, okay, this is probably what they're going to do because it sounds like they're leaning this way, you know. So I mean, I'm reading them, and I'm sure you're probably doing the same thing, like in like sessions that you run. I think it's important to do that
Yeah,
because
it's tough to read on people. I mean, as I've said before, you'll have players that won't engage for
right,
the session, but they're enjoying it. They're having fun being there, and yeah, it is a tough balancing act to get. But I mean, the other thing as well is in terms of role play and enjoyment, the important thing that I've learned as well is to also give the characters downtime. Don't just keep throwing crap at them all the time. They need time to sit back, breathe, talk as their characters about what's happened and what they want to do next. And that way they'll always give you little things as well. Like, for example, the NPCs. A lot of people think I make an interesting NPC and that's it. This guy's really interesting because he's got two heads and he runs a tavern. And it's like, yeah, that is an interesting character, but those NPCs that your players find interesting and they confide in and they engage in, it's not an opportunity for you to show off how well, it partly an opportunity to show off that you can make a fun NPC and play a funny character, but take those opportunities to ask the characters questions and learn what they want and learn what they want to do and what their next steps are going to be. That will
yeah,
help as well without directly asking them as players, what do you want to do next? I mean, I've had to do that with players who don't engage,
hmm
but I'll just ask characters in game about stuff like, oh, you've mentioned that your brother disappeared 5 years ago. When that comes up in conversation with an NPC, I'm going to start probing so I can get some little hints of what you think happened to your brother, and I can play on that.
right. And I'm not sure if you've done it because I haven't played in many of your like campaign sessions, but you can also use an NPC to, and I hate to use the term railroad because it's not doing that, but like kind of give them a clue to where they might want to go, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I used Periwinkle. He was an NPC in the game, but everybody grew to love him. He would accidentally stumble upon something. If that makes sense. You use them like to give a clue or to give a hint if the players are struggling with finding something or can't figure something out. After you've given them ample opportunity to have figured it out and they're still struggling with it. I mean, that's how I tend to use them every once in a while. I don't do it often, but when it's necessary, I'll throw that in.
Yeah, if you feel like you need to push the story along, you can, do have an NPC. That's what they're there for too. But the thing that I've learned that for actually from my Sunday campaign, and you were there when I started doing it, was if you provide NPCs to the party and they become reliant on them, and those NPCs become a part of their group, they're
Yeah.
going to keep relying on them, and then you're basically the DM in the game giving them answers. And
Yeah.
so I had like mercenaries who were helping out our Sunday group, and I had to take them away because they were just becoming reliant on them. I tried it out by putting in a character called Gerardus, who you met, who was a cartographer, and he helped
Yeah.
them a little bit, but there was an end date to that. Once you reach the city, he's going back to his life and he's gone.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act because you want to help them to push the story along, and not really push because again that tends to lead to railroading conversation, but like help them when they're struggling. But at the same time, you don't want to be in there playing um in the sessions, like, because they'll then begin, like you said, to look to the NPC for all the guidance. Thankfully, and I'm kind of tooting my own horn here, I dumbed down Periwinkle even more, so if they ever looked to him for advice or help, they were like up that famous creek without a paddle, you know? Because you definitely don't want to look at somebody who had a 3 for intelligence, to guide you.
Yeah, and I mean that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying to help push people along, because there's two things to running the game, which is you want challenge, you want people to feel challenged. I always struggle with putting enough enemies at players to challenge them. It seems like you need to really bombard them sometimes, and that's still something I'm trying to get the hang of. But you want to create challenge without creating frustration, and that frustration is what you're saying. We've been playing for 2 hours trying to figure this out, and we can't. And I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Right. You know, speaking of like throwing enough enemies at your party, and you probably run across this, like you don't throw many at them, and they roll really good and destroy them in like a matter of minutes.
Yep.
So then next time you throw like more at them, they roll crappy, and it's like they almost die. So it's
It's
like,
tough, yeah. Like D&D gives enough wiggle room that they can't really get that fucked up unless you completely overwhelm them. But
yeah,
there are some games like Alien RPG, you can
oh
get your party wiped out in, in one battle.
yes. Or if you want a character to die, just give them a chest baby. They've got to have a chest baby.
Yeah, here's your death sentence. Oh, so I was going to tell Richard a story about my vision this week that I found really interesting. So the eye condition I have is called Stargardt disease, and it usually kicks in when you're a teenager. Mine kicked in when I was in my like early 20s. So to those that don't know, my full name is Jim O'Donnell, just about the most Irish feckin' name you can have, and at work. So I work for a charity for the blind here in Canada, and I deal with technology. And this lady called me up this week, and she was asking about, they featured the Orcam on Dr. Phil, and she was like, "Yeah, you're the guy that knows about this stuff. Like, tell me, is this any good?" And I was like, "Well, what eye condition do you have?" And she's like, "I have Stargardt disease." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Well, welcome to the club." I was like, I had Stargardts too. And then I was talking to her, and then she said, "Oh, by the way, my mum's last name was O'Donnell too." And I was like, "Holy shit, we're long lost cousins, and it must run in our family, this condition, because it's partially hereditary as well." But yeah, it's really weird, man, talking to someone else that has. But the weirdest part was, hers didn't kick in until she was 38. And I know another lady who it didn't kick in until she was in her like 30s or 40s. So it seems like with women, this eye condition doesn't kick in till later in life. And with guys like me, it kicks in when you're pretty young. But yeah, that I found that interesting.
That is really interesting. It's like it was
Yeah.
deemed by fate. You know.
Shitty genetics.
um, but yeah, I've really looked at that Orcam. I know Philip, who's in the Wednesday group, and he's also playing in Jesse's campaign. He has one.
Yeah.
But man, them things are so expensive. It's like
Yeah.
I'd like to have it. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm really hesitant to pay that kind of money. Get it, like, oh, I don't like it.
So the price tag doesn't justify the functionality on it now, because you can get all the functions of the Orcam through the Seeing AI app for free. So why would you pay $3,000, $4,000 for an Orcam? But with the new version there of the software that they're bringing out, it's going to be able to identify objects and how far away they are. So it will tell you, there's two chairs, they're 6 feet away from you. I mean, that's useful.
Yeah.
If that combined with all the other functionality of it, I mean, originally the Orcam had a barcode scanner, but you had to manually record what the item was, whereas now it has a barcode database. So you just scan a barcode and it tells you this is a pack of toothpaste.
This is Budweiser. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I need to know.
Exactly. Huh. That really makes me want to look into that. Because
Yeah.
if it can process that quickly, I may get a car. And you have a car that's 20 feet away. Good.
That is the
But
scary thing about working at a charity for the blind, where like I was in this week and I was organizing donations and a guy came in and I was like, this thing will help you. It was donated, you can have it for free. If you can get someone to come pick you up, I'll load it up for you guys. You take it home. And he goes, "Oh no, my car's out front." And I'm like,
oh,
"Oh, okay." And I never comment on that stuff because I won't make someone
right,
feel bad. Maybe they are capable of driving, not my business. But it's fucking
right.
terrifying the amount of people who are registered as legally blind that drive.
I know somebody personally. They're like married into my family. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you want to ride to town with me?" Nope.
No, not a fucking chance.
But it's terrifying.
We had a guy this week in Toronto who knocked down a nanny. She had the pushchair with the kids, and she shoved it out of the way, saved the kids, and she got slammed through the front of a store, and she's in hospital now. And a bunch of people raised like 100 grand to help her out because she's got family in the Philippines who she's supporting. But yeah,
Right.
it was an 80-year-old guy in the car who lost control while parallel parking and fucking reversed into her.
Oh my. No, if you're that age, don't be driving.
Selfish.
Yeah.
It's the rule of "but I'm special" of, yeah, people shouldn't do that. But my dad only drives during the day and he's picking up his groceries. It's like it's not good enough. Shouldn't be driving. It's not safe.
Right. And that's like me ever since, I had my wreck. I don't like anybody being out in a bad storm to come get me for any reason. I mean, if I don't have food here, then I just won't eat. I mean, it's nerve-wracking to me, not to mention that, other idiots out there on the road. And yes, I am saying the word idiots because if you're out there in a monsoon and you're driving, you're a freaking idiot.
You're a fucking
Um,
idiot.
yeah, but I won't say it like would make me have a nervous breakdown or anything because I mean I trust the people that I ride with, obviously, but I don't need. I would feel horrible if they got into a wreck because of me.
Oh, and you've got that added experience. So I mean
Yeah,
that's pretty traumatic and adds to it. It's always going to be on your mind. You'd never want someone to go through what you had, because that's the thing is like, when people say to you like, "Oh, that must be horrible to have this and that," and you're like, "Ah, well, I adapt. I get used to it." But when you think about someone else you love going through that, you're like, "I can fucking handle it."
right. Like no, I'll just stay here. I'm good. I'll go eat like a wood chip or something.
I'll just
I'll be
rub my belly and be
yeah.
like, "I got my reserves."
I could stand to lose a little bit of weight. I'm good. I'll slice off a thigh or something.
A couple of meals, I'll be all right. I'll be
Yeah.
the last guy in the apocalypse.
Um. But well, speaking of the apocalypse, I'll get to that in just a second. You're talking about the Seeing AI app. I have never heard of this.
Oh, Seeing AI is amazing, man. I imagine a lot of people listening will have heard of it. It's a free app for the iPhone.
Uh
It's
huh.
actually made by Microsoft, and it has several functions on it. So it can read text. So you can hold your phone over a piece of text, it will read it to you. It can read handwriting, it can tell you colors, it can tell you the location you're in. So if you press the button, it will tell you in front of you is a cat and a rug. And then it can also tell currency, it can scan barcodes. So to scan a barcode, let's say, Richard, you're holding up a box and you want to
Right.
find the barcode on it, it has a little sonar. So it was like going boop, boop, boop. And the closer your camera gets to the barcode, the more it goes boop, 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 boop. And then obviously
Oh,
once it's beeping, you're on the barcode, leave it for a second, it scans, and then it tells you what it is.
this is an app that will be downloaded as soon as I get off of this podcast.
Absolutely, man.
And
It's free.
unfortunately for everybody, or fortunately for everybody else, I'm not pulling up my iPhone now to download it while we were talking, but I'm definitely going to look into that.
Fantastic. And there's also an Android version which is more feature light and requires subscription called Envision. But yeah, Seeing AI is the best. It's free. Microsoft are amazing.
Yes. Sounds better than the Cash App that I paid like I think $8 or $9 for a year subscription, which will
Oh,
read like currency to you. Very accessible. In fact, I want to believe it was made for the blind originally. So it wasn't like it was, oh, this is accessible. I'll sell it as blind software. Um, but it's really good. It does have a tendency to sometimes mistake like certain bills. So I'll usually use it like 3 times. All you have to do is hold over the bill and it'll tell you like one, for a $1 bill. And
oh,
I
that's
and
good.
I know it messes up from time to time because I was going through my wallet and it said 100. No, it ain't. you know,
I'd
I
be drunk
wish it.
if I had 100.
I wish it was, but you also spoke about the apocalypse, and I was talking with
Before
CJ.
we go on to
Okay,
the apocalypse, can I do one more bit of tech?
no,
Okay, I'll fuck
yeah,
off then.
yeah, go right
So,
ahead.
so before that, the last thing I mentioned about Seeing AI is even just the color reader on it is great, and to buy a physical color reader tool is hundreds of dollars. So I mean,
Yes,
it's pretty amazing. But yeah, I posted on the Discord this week about the pixel dice. Not sure if anyone saw that,
I
but I
did.
posted a video and a link. The Kickstarter is going up on the 9th of March. I'm going to be backing it. I hope anyone else that can afford to contribute will. The Pixel dice, Richard, is a physical dice that feels and looks like a regular dice, but it connects to your iPhone, and when you roll it, it tells you the result.
Ooh,
And for,
yes.
for any sighted or low vision folks, you can get it to flash different colors. You can get it, instead of reading you 21, it can make different sounds. You can get it to go when you roll a 20. So it can
Oh,
do different colors, combinations on different numbers, different sounds on different numbers. And I'm excited because my iPhone's hooked up to my hearing aids. So when I roll, no one will hear it, but I will know what dice I rolled, and I won't have to get a sighted person to read it,
yeah,
or have to pick up like a Braille dice or anything.
yes. Because I have my iPhone going through my Bluetooth earpiece. Because I don't want
Oh,
everybody else hearing my texts that come in. I mean, because they can be kind of personal sometimes. Like, what do you want for supper? Or,
Richard,
or
can you please flush the toilet when you're done with it? Oh shit!
yeah, like, I thought I did. But that is amazing. Oh, that's definitely got me interested because I know, like, I would program the one to be like, doom, 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 because you're about to die. Uh, but I got to look into that too.
Yeah, so the last two things I mentioned, or sorry, three things I mentioned is that so one, as I said, they look, feel, and weigh the same as a regular dice. There's no difference. The second is that they come in all different dice. So D20s, D10s, D8s, D12s, D4s, D6s. And then the last thing is that they charge inductively. So you put them in a little case which plugs in and they charge up like that.
Oh, I definitely want a set of these. And it's so nice of you to say that you'd buy me a set,
Yeah, of
you
course,
know.
man. Actually, on that note, we sent out half the Braille dice we promised to the community, and we're going to send out the next half in the next week or two.
Awesome. I'm so glad that, people are enjoying them. The only thing is, I hope that the ones that Ken received roll like ones every time.
Before we move on to the apocalypse, just like to give a humongous thank you to the person that donated them. They also shipped them out as well. They won't allow me to share their name or anything, but thank you on behalf of people. People don't realize that a lot of the blind community are low or fixed income, and stuff like this makes a huge difference.
Yes. Me personally, I don't read Braille, but I respect and appreciate somebody who does not want their name out there more so than, oh yeah, Jim Bob Briggs is the one who donated, several hundred Braille dice. They're doing it for the right reason, keeping their name hidden. And for that I applaud you and thank you so much for doing it for everybody.
A knight, you're a friggin' lord, you're a fucking hero here, man.
Oh yeah, you're way above Jim and I.
Richard doesn't need them Braille dice; he's getting them pixel dice.
Oh yes. Like I said, it was nice of Jesse to offer to get me another set of them. So
add another and another. Well, I need like 40-20.
Exactly. I got to have them. Man, I'm like stunned right now about the pixel dice. Like, oh, I can't wait.
Feel like a dice, and we just chuck it and get that feeling again. That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, because I love rolling dice, which is why I loved meeting in person for a local session. Because I spent like $35 on a set of metal dice. Oh man, hear them things roll like in the dice tray on the table, like clunk, 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 clunk. What'd you get? One.
The other thing, and I'm not sure if it's going to relate to Discord, although I imagine it will with the work at home, stay at home thing for the next couple of years. It connects to your computer, so it can record die results for you. It can also connect to apps like Roll20 and Fantasy Ground. So let's hope it can connect to Discord, and then we can roll dice at home and it comes up in the chat.
Yes, but then I can't lie about my roll. Not that I've ever done that, because I don't want to cheat myself from the experience. But that is awesome. Really, really awesome. I am super excited about that.
Me too, man. And now that we're happy, let's talk about the apocalypse.
Yes. I was talking with CJ Solo earlier about the Zombies Run app, and I may have mentioned it on here before. If I have, no, well, listen to it again. If I hadn't, well, this is new news to you all. It's an exercise app that is extremely accessible to people who are using VoiceOver. It's made by Six to Start, and they did not originally intend it to be accessible, but through their efforts or accidents or now it's on purpose, it is accessible. It's a story-based driven kind of like RPG, but it's an exercise app. It tracks your speed and it plays audio clips from Zombies Run, and you are runner 5, and you progress through the storyline discovering who started the zombie apocalypse and things like that, and it keeps track of like how many miles you run, or how many steps you take, and you collect, excuse me, not create, you collect like supplies and things like that. Say sports bras, cell phones, plants, things like that, and you use all of that to build your own version of the town called Able. And you don't have to do that part of it, but you're creating this little township for survivors, making it safe, keeping everybody's morale up. It's just an entertaining way to exercise. And you don't necessarily have to exercise, because some people I've read, just listen to the storyline, which is fantastic as well. I want to think it costs $2.99 a month. You can pay for it per year and get like a little bit of a discount. Thankfully, I accidentally found it whenever I started, so I got in on the legacy version, which means I can get like the entire year for a lot cheaper than what it is now. But I use it. I love it. It entertains me while I exercise. And I'm usually like huffing and puffing and sweating, and then they'll say, "Oh, you pick up a cell phone. Thank God, call 911." What I'm thinking, uh, it's definitely worth getting. If anybody's like needing motivation to exercise, or you just are into zombie stuff and want to listen to the story, it's really really entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I also posted a game called Cursed Painting in the Discord, and it runs
Yes,
Alexa, and it's an audio-based adventure game. And I know that our buddy who we had on a few weeks ago, Blind Fury, said he checked it out and he really enjoyed it. So if Matthew likes it and he is a 30-year vet of RPGs, then it must be pretty good.
aficionado, is that the right word?
Ooh, how European.
I didn't know. I just heard it in a book somewhere. I was hoping it sounded good. But speaking of that, I know that we were the two cool kids without one of those devices. Last weekend I received this package in the mail. Um, because I had purchased one of these devices, and I'm not
Really?
saying the name because it will come up and start talking. So yes.
Because
Uh,
I could.
Yeah, I know. Uh, but I have played a little bit of the cursed painting, in the little bit of free time that I've had, and it seems to be a lot of fun. Well, like I said, from what I have played, and of course, took an hour trying to get it to open up the uh the game. Couldn't figure it out, so I got on Google, and it said all you have to do is say open. I'm like, hey, okay. And then within 5 seconds of asking Google, it pulled up how I could start playing. So I felt like quite the dum dum, you know. But it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it.
How have you found it? Like, do you create a character? Do you just jump in as this faceless adventurer and go about it? Do you make decisions? How does it work?
Um, you're kind of a faceless character to begin with. I haven't gotten very far in it. Um, you're attacked by a zombie, and you have to pick whether to use a sword, use a bow and arrow, or a crossbow. I can't remember which one it is now, or magic. Me, I of course chose magic. Um, Screw the up close and personal. I'm going to stand far away and kill you. You know, like I said, I haven't gotten very far in it. I want to think you're a rogue, or at least that's what I picked. I think you get to pick your class, and you get three options, and it will roll dice for you in there. What I have come across so far, but the audio quality is fantastic. You can actually plug in headphones and play with it, so you're not really disturbing everybody else until you yell out, "Do this!" And
Don't
you know,
me.
yeah, and they're looking at you like, "What's wrong with you? Don't bother me. I got Tourette's."
Yeah,
Uh,
Richard's really good at that shooting. He was.
I mean, screw you, leave me alone. But it is awesome, man. It's worth the money to get it. I think I paid like fifty dollars for it's a Gen 4 released in 2020. And there also is one that I looked at, but at the time it's like I don't need a screen on it. That's like 79, but it can hook up to your TV and control your Amazon Prime and all the stuff like that. But it's like I don't need the screen because it comes with like a little 5.5-inch screen, I believe. I'm blind. I don't need that. And then, of course, after I got the other one, um, somebody YouTubed a video of it, and I was watching. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd have got that one. But it's alright. It's worth it though, Jim. I'd highly suggest it.
So how much is the Alexa to buy?
$50, free shipping. As long as you have Prime, and it may be free shipping anyway.
An Amazon website.
Yes, yes. From Amazon.com. And like I said, mine was free shipping, but I mean, I have Amazon Prime, so I'm not sure if it's free shipping for everybody or just for Prime members. I ordered it on Thursday and had it on Friday.
Have to order one and hope that it doesn't argue with the G lady.
Oh yeah, that could be bad.
Two of
You
them
know.
just argue in the office here. One rolls a dice, the other one calls him a cheater, and then I can't get the results of my game.
I see exactly. That's what you need to do, though. I mean, it'd be just like real life. You know, people arguing over you. You put one on one side, one on the other side, and
Absolutely.
but yeah, I love it. I hadn't gotten to play a whole lot because of trying to figure out certain things with the document that I've been editing, and finally getting good and frustrated and stepping away for a moment.
Yeah, this whole accessibility thing. It's tough. I just looked at another rulebook today for another game that we were talking about in the Discord there, Red Markets, and it's not accessible. I'm going to see if I can make it accessible easily, but we shall see. I mean, it does get frustrating sometimes. I mean, it doesn't. It's not that much extra work to add tags on. I assume they're using like InDesign. So it doesn't. It's not that big a job.
Right.
It's not.
You know, maybe we can get the word out. I mean, we're trying, you know, and people will start taking notice of it. But speaking of as far as making things accessible, I hope to finish Mothership by this time next week. I hope to.
Ooh.
I had planned to be finished by today, but you know, I had contacted you about the certain part of it. It's like, no. Spent hours on it. But anyway, as soon as I finish that one, I will start working on the Knights of the Braille fantasy, or not fantasy wrestling, but the KWF, the Knights Wrestling Federation, and you know, working on the worldwide wrestling, or the other one that the Squared Circle. I'll begin working on one of those two to hopefully set up the first quote unquote pay-per-view that's free on the Knights of the Braille, you know, network anyway. Kind of like the WWE network, setting up Braille Mania. It's my hopes.
Wait for it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna lose though. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'll make like a gold dust equivalent character. I'm not sure.
You know, promoter is not supposed to put themselves over, so that's why I'm gonna win.
You'd be Vince McMahon and just, abuse all of your employees.
Exactly. I'm gonna be like Gilbert or Hornswoggle. You know, that's my
Oh,
goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's lots going on at the minute. We're both doing accessibility work. We're both trying to get stuff out to the community. In my free time, I am continuing to design a game that will never see the light of day. I think I mentioned it like 6-7 months ago, but yeah, that's still going on. And I will run a game of it in, I don't know, 6-12 months and test it out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think that's just something that I just enjoy doing on the side to turn my brain off. I don't know.
Right.
Something creative, because this accessibility stuff, as much as it's good to do it for the community, it's not very creative and it can be pretty boring.
It can be kind of brain draining.
Yeah.
I mean, parts of it aren't hard, but it's like trying to figure out whenever things are not aligned. Like, does this make sense with this line, or does it make sense with this line? You know, only to realize, oh, you're on a totally different page that you know, it made sense like 6 paragraphs ago.
Well, that's the thing as well, is that accessibility begins at the design phase of a rule book. And as we mentioned before, you need consistency, and that also translates to the layout of your document. yeah, it's designing something visually is very different to designing it for accessibility.
And and it's like we said, we're not making fun of them in any stretch, but
No,
because they don't know.
yeah,
Just like
absolutely.
I knew nothing about this stuff until I lost my sight and, had to start looking stuff like this up. And
Yeah,
I want somebody else who goes through something like that to have an easier go of it than what I did.
it's important to approach things as a conversation on trying, like, hey guys, look, we're going to have to talk about this objectively, because if I get emotional about my side of it, of feeling left out, that's not going to help anyone. And if you guys get emotional by bringing empathy to the table and feeling that you can't ask questions, that's not going to move things forward either. Everyone needs to just sit down and be like, you know, what do you need? Well, we need this. Well, in reality, we can't do that, but we can do this. There are compromises. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but to take steps forward, you need to do them together. And if you just start turning around and accusing people of intentionally leaving you out or not doing the work, it's not going to get them to help you.
Right. We got to work together. Like was it 70s song, We Are Family? You know. But I mean, you to take a step forward, you don't need to, by doing that, take 3 or 4 steps back. Work with each other. It's like, Jim has a little bit of sight, so I finally got good and, not ticked off. I was getting pissed off by the time I finally emailed him. And like, look, man, I just want to because I wanted to update him on the progress of it, and I don't know if he appreciates it or he gets a notification. Oh, no, damn, there's that fucking Richard again. You know,
Finally, Richard. All these other emails just complaining.
yeah. Um, I'm going to take a break from this part of it because I'm having a lot of difficulty trying to figure this out, and I'm fairly confident in my abilities. And I'm not even sure that I'm typing in the right stuff here. And then Jim tells me this morning, yeah, it's pretty fucked up, it is. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
so it
pretty.
wasn't just me.
I mean, even doing the accessibility stuff is the same as planning a role playing game, campaign or session, is that you can keep writing stuff and doing stuff for it and slowly moving forward. But eventually you're going to get so muddied down by everything that you need to step away and then
Right.
come back to it fresh and try again.
And that's why I said I'll look at this later on, but for right now, I'm moving to a different section because I don't want it to hold me up. And that's what it was doing. And it was pissing me off.
Yeah, you've got a
Because
brand new computer and you don't want to smash it.
right. That's why I need to get somebody else's computer and smash it instead. You know?
Hey, computer for a minute.
Yeah. Because I went to my roommate like, you using this TV right now? I know it's nice and 55 inches, but it's gonna look really good when I make a TV donut. What do you mean? I'm gonna put a hole right in the middle. Yes.
Well, on the
Yeah.
note of Richard singing and smashing, I think I've covered everything this week. What about you, Richard?
I believe that is everything. I can't think of anything else.
Right,
Nah.
then wrap us up, Richard.
All right. Hey, everybody. We will hear you next week.